So, hi, my name is Emanuel Santner. I'm a research engineer at the AIT Austrian Institute of Technology. We are in my department working actively in the healthcare sector, and my role explicitly is mostly in system design, architecture, software development, and integration. And within this project of vCare, we were leading two work packages for the coaching services and for the user interface.
Okay, Elizabeth Pitarma from Caritas de Coimbra, I'm a project manager, and I'm a social culture developer. And that's it. I think in a while I will choose better myself. And
thank you very much. All right. Okay. Oh, yes, that would be helpful. It's true. So in my presentation, I'm going to show you in how we approached in vCare this virtual coaching concept. Yes. What you can expect from this presentation is that what is a virtual coach in general and how and what is its purpose, how this virtual coaching purpose was addressed in vCare. Then we will go through the benefits and risks that we have seen in our small-scale study, the user perception and feedback, and finally some key takeaways that we got from vCare. So let me begin first with the question, what is virtual coaching? Virtual coaching is a technological concept referring to systems or platforms that are used to well, I'm losing my train of thought now. Help training and coaching interventions in order to support learning new activities or to engage the user and motivate the user in changing their behavior, their lifestyle behavior for a more positive, in a more positive way. Oh, sorry, I moved too quickly. And how is this realized? So usually coaching systems are structured in 4 dimensions or components. We have the self-monitoring component, which is used for defining what motivational message to deliver and when it should be delivered. And self-monitoring means monitoring from the user, from the patient, like heart rate, step count, and these kind of things. Then we have the context awareness domain, which is also handling what message and when to deliver messages. And this is more about the environmental sensors like activity tracking, localization, time, etc. Then we have the coaching strategy domain. This only deals with what kind of message to be delivered. And this is about the adaptation of activities based on the data that was gathered in the self-monitoring and in the context awareness domains. And finally, we have the interface modality, which deals with how messages are delivered to the user. And this can either be visually, verbally, so auditory or tactile. Now, virtual coaches are, what's their purpose? They should mimic or simulate existing coaches, like, for example, a tutor, like a trainer, or like healthcare providers. And so we see that virtual coaches can have applications in many dimensions or many domains, so to say, and they are supposed to train, to engage, to guide, to educate persons and users while they're doing their activities. And it's important to note that virtual coaches are not supposed to be a replacement for existing coaching, but more of a support in cooperating for a better rehabilitation outcome. Fine. So now, how did we approach this general model in vCare? We have 4 elements. The rehabilitation pathway in the top left corner that describes the care plan of a patient. Then we have some enabling services that provide the functionalities in order to execute the pathways. We have obviously the user interface interacting with the user. And then we have the reasoner, which is the component what was also presented today by FZI, by Jin. This is responsible for the execution of the pathway, for the adaptation of the activities, and for the decision making. And how does this work? We have 3 types of coaching services. So we have the coaching of enabling services. The coaching services, they directly interact with the user and they are linked in the pathway descriptions. So when the pathway is executed at each level of this white boxes, the reasoner knows which service needs to be executed to trigger an interaction with the user. Coaching services are like these cognitive games, motor games, reminders, questionnaires, these kind of things. Then we have supporting services. They mainly interact with the user. They give support, like going through the agenda, providing better data, or putting the system in the standby mode. But they also provide data partly to the reasoner and to this care plan. For example, for decision for decision making on the weather data, whether to suggest outside or indoor activities. Finally, data services. Those are like from the wristbands, from environmental sensors, and they feed directly into this reasoning component and the care plans for decision making, but also for activity adjustments. Okay, how does this work? So a rehabilitation plan for a user is specified, instantiated by the system, and now with this instantiated system or pathway, the reasoner can execute it. And because of this linkage of the services in the pathway, the reasoner knows what to execute at which point in the pathway. Now, to map this approach to this general model, based on the functionalities of the vCare components, we have the coaching services that provide functionality in the coaching strategy domain, in the context awareness domain, and in the self-monitoring domain. Supporting services for context awareness, data services in both context awareness and self-monitoring. The reasoning component primarily in the coaching strategy domain, as well as the pathways, obviously. Interface modality for sure, the user interfaces that we have. And last but not least, in the coaching strategy, we have an additional component called the motivational model. The motivational model was created in order to further engage and motivate the patients through this rehabilitation to adhere to this care plan and to this rehabilitation plan, and also to induce behavioral change towards a more active and healthy lifestyle. And to do that, we came up with the idea of combining 3 existing methods. This is the information, motivation, behavioral skills model. Then we have the patient activation measure and also the framework for persuasive system design. How does this work? This is here shown, this process. I'm going through with you through it. The reasoner would suggest a coaching activity based on the pathway for the user. The user is doing this activity and the performance of the user is fed back to the reasoner. If the performance was good, then the reasoner would suggest through a rehabilitation coaching service a motivational message, because like an appraisal, like good job, well done. If it was a bad performance, then the patient activation measure would be, how long?
30 seconds.
Okay. So the patient activation measure would be consulted in order to identify why this performance was bad. And if a low PAM score is reached, then the system would suggest e-learning information to increase health literacy. If it was high, then the user was probably lazy and you want to motivate and engage him to do his exercises. This was the main part from today. I would like to finally conclude with our results from yesterday from the pilots. Just quickly, we have seen nice benefits from this coaching model within vCare. So clinicians are actively involved in this whole rehabilitation process from the beginning until the end. So they have a supervising role for the rehabilitation. We have seen a reduction in risk factors, increase in quality of life, increase in adherence to the home care and rehabilitation plan, and it's a multi-modal approach. We don't have any specificalities for the usage. On the risk side, we have seen yesterday, also with other projects, there are still technical difficulties that can lead to frustration of the patients and that they would eventually drop out. This is obviously not a good thing. And we have also seen difficult approaches to the technology, especially for patients with impairments. So this is definitely something to address. I will skip over the user perception here. This was discussed yesterday. And the key takeaways are basically the benefits. But now I'm one too fast. Here we are. So we have observed clear benefits of the virtual coaching system, although in a small scale setting, but still a better rehabilitation outcome for the patients, as well as a cost-effective tool in rehabilitation. There is a risk of dropout because of technical obstacles, so this has to be addressed, but it is applicable in multiple domains. And we also have a promising motivational model for these virtual coaches to further engage and motivate to the adherence of the patient. This, although, needs further development and testing. And now I'm done. Thank you very much.